Okay, get ready for it. Here we go, y'all. All right, what's up, internet, webflowers, Finsweet universe? We're back with another episode of Critique, and today we're joined by Aditya in the top left corner of your screen. We got Colleen Brady in the bottom right corner of your screen. We got Riley Jones in the bottom left. We got an action-packed house today in episode 7. Oof, child, what is up? If you're new to the show, there's links in the description for how you can submit a website, how you can apply to be a judge. And so you'll see we're rotating the judges out every week, and we've got new faces for you and new websites every week. And so kind of a lot going on here, and we're excited. So Colleen, let's start with you. Say hi and introduce yourself a little bit.
Hey, I am so excited to be here. It was kind of fun. I missed the live stream last week, but I see there was a little bit of chatter and nominations for me in the live stream, so feel honored for that. You may know me from the Webflow Sarasota meetup, which I've done with Rymar, and we're currently working on Clone Comp, and I just really enjoy no code and Webflow. Excited to be here.
Awesome. Great. And then we got Riley. What's up, Riley? Say hello.
Hello, everyone. So happy to be here. I'm Riley. Been in the Webflow community for a while, doing a lot of freelance Webflow design work on my end, and I'm also on the technical support team on Webflow. So yeah, happy to be here.
All right. Great. We're happy to have you. And then last but not least here is Aditya. Aditya is one of our rockstar Webflow developers and designers here at Finsweet. So yeah, say hi and introduce yourself a little bit, Aditya.
Hello, everyone. This is my first ever appearance as a judge and critique. And please go easy on me. I'm going to try my best to come with the best comments. You must have seen me in the comments, in the live chat whenever there's shows going on, and I try to give my 2 cents. Today I'm here in front of all of you, so let's hope I do well.
Awesome. All right, well, that is the crew. Typically, we also have Joe here, but he's preparing for our call. We've got a call with Vlad right after this, if you saw our growth episode this last week. And so we'll make some progress on that. We'll talk about how you all can get involved in some of the new community efforts we've got coming up. But before any of that happens, let's go ahead and explain how Critique is going to work. Check it out.
Okay, so here's how it works. Each week, the Webflow community will submit websites for us to critique. Members of the Finsweet team, along with guest judges, will get 5 minutes to review each selected site live on air. The judges, along with members of the audience, will then have 45 seconds to submit their scores before we reveal the overall rating for each website and share our final thoughts. Welcome to Critique by Finsweet.
Okay, bang, bang. There we are. Okay, so real quick before we get started, let's say hello. We got Rohan in the crowd, Dishan, Magdalena, Ariel, Victor, Jay Poucher. What's up, Rock and Roll CEO? Penny, Eunice, Andy, Babis, Pablo, Martin. Man, we got a full house today. Hello, everyone. Leave your thoughts and, say hello in the comments. We like having you all along for the ride as we go. Feel free to grab the scorecard. Let's make sure we get the scorecard out there for... Let's see, hang on. Let's see the audience scorecard. Let me make sure that link is copied. I'm gonna share that in the chat. Okay, so if you're gonna vote along with us, I'm gonna pin that. Replace pin. Oh, geez, Rohan, you already got it there ahead of the crew. Wow, see, this is what we got. Good backup. Thank you. So, all right, let's get it started. Who's walking us through? Oh, I'm walking us through the first website, huh? So here's how it works. We got 5 minutes on the clock. You guys already saw that. We're going to put that up on the clock, and I'll walk you through the website now. This is EMS Darberator. I'm not sure what that is. EMS Career. I'm not sure how to pronounce some of this. It seems like it's in a different language, obviously, here, but it does have a kind of clean, open design. So first things first, image of somebody here. It's hard for me to tell what's happening on the site because obviously I can't read it here. I wonder if, let's try this. All right. Career at EMS. Get in, get on, arrive. Thank you, Google. Okay, so it's pretty wide open. I like the aesthetic of this. These things feel very stock imagey to me. You know, if they're not, they're beautiful photos, but it feels very stock imagey to me, and something about that kind of immediately just turns me off a little bit. I do like the layout. It's wide open. It's very open. White space is kind of king here. You know, the open area. But I nothing about this like really excites me or jumps out at me. Although I do think it's a nice looking, well thought out site, right? It's got all the information you might need to know. It doesn't have a whole lot of character for me. And what I look for in websites nowadays is really that little bit of emotion, that little bit of like, just give me something to dig into a little bit. And I'm not getting that. So maybe there's some value in the content here. I don't know. I'd like to see this push a little bit more, even here, you know, where it's just like text elements and stuff. The typography is nice. I think it's very modern. I don't think there's a lot of hard criticisms here. I just don't think there's also like anything that's over the top or that really gets me excited. So, Colleen, what say you about that?
I very much agree with a lot of what you've said, and I thought it was kind of interesting to be starting to do this critique with it being in a foreign language. So if we had been looking at this, as English speakers who don't necessarily know this language, I don't know that I'd be able to figure out what this is. So I think that kind of reinforces your point of it's not necessarily telling a story or what exactly is it. It does look very, very stock photography, and it is certainly clean, but in some ways I don't even necessarily know as you were scrolling through what's the next thing. There was almost so much content.
This also too, as I click here, I don't mean to cut anyone off, but the links are not active. So I wonder, and this is on a Webflow URL. So I wonder if this is just somebody experimenting in learning a little bit. Riley, what are your thoughts as you look through this thing?
Yeah, there's a lot of great elements I feel like are being represented that can be just pushed a little bit more to enliven that character that you were mentioning earlier. And this can be tricky, but when it comes to using even stock like photography, there can still be some opportunities to integrate the branded elements that are being represented throughout the page. Either that's just a little color overlays or giving a sense of tone and rich texture to the image. Light touches that can kind of elevate that stock feeling that I think can present a bit more of a experience that's a bit more in line with this kind of like very professional, straightforward experience that's being presented here.
I can even see some of these lines,
a lot of other
here,
elements,
like some of these diagonal breaks and some of these like lines. Imagine bringing some of that into these images, and that's like exactly like that would give it that pop, you know?
Yes, of course. And I even think they introduce kind of this gold, but I'm not seeing that represented throughout the other parts of the site where it can be a great element to use just to gravitate focus towards certain kinds of elements, whether that being either a content area or a call to action. I think can help that. Yeah,
Aditya, you got the last minute.
Yeah, I would say I see two positive things here. The first thing is that from a design point of view, I would say it's decent. It's not bad at all. Like if I was a client and if this was delivered to me and I was looking for a professional needs looking website, I would have a few design related comments, but I would not change much. I would be happy with this. Another positive is that the way this has been developed looks great. Like I'm watching it on a very wide screen and I see that there are containers being used, but I also see that some sections are like full width. So they've done a good job. It looks great even on a big screen. The negatives are that, like Raymar originally said, it's not too exciting. It doesn't really prompt me to dig in too much. Apart from that, I think it's pretty decent. They've used good images. The development looks great. I don't have too many criticism for this.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there you've got it. 4 different opinions on the same website, and maybe you're thinking a little something different than we're thinking too. Now's your chance to get the crowd voting. The comment is pinned, so we're going to open up the scorecard from the crowd, and let's see, we're going to get 45 seconds on the clock here. And so judges, this is your first shot to grade the website. We're looking for, again, a design score, which is the overall design aesthetic of the website, what it looks like, you know, the actual structure. The story itself is, what's the content? What's the story of the site? What is the information telling you? How is it connecting with you? The copy, all of that. Flair, we're looking at interactions, right? So what takes the site over the top? That emotional connection, maybe some movement, maybe it's some beautiful illustrations, something that just sucks you in. You know, does a site make you want to keep looking? And then usability is just going to be, how easy is the site to navigate, to get around, etc. So that's it. And we have our scores are in. And so here's how we do it. We usually run from the lowest score to the top. And let's see, I want to make a quick revision. Okay, so we go from the bottom to the top. And that time, okay, Colleen coming in strong with a 4.0 right out the board. Okay, so Colleen gives it a 4. Riley's right above that with a 4.25. And then both Aditya and I came in at 5.25. So gives us a judge's average of 4.69. And I'm wondering, we did not get crowd scores. I wonder if the crowd score was open. Let me see, edit form real quick. Crowd scores, okay. Responses, not accepting. Okay, I'm gonna give this a recount real quick. The form was closed, so audience, if you were watching and you didn't get a chance to submit your score, let's go ahead and give that a second for the crowd scores to come in. So we've got just a few minutes there. Let's give it another countdown. Any final thoughts there from the judges as we see the score come through, while we give the crowd a little bit to catch up on their scores?
One thing I didn't think to mention earlier is this hero section, that main graphic, she's looking off screen. And that's typically, I feel like, a design no-no, that you want to be pulling people in.
Yeah. Yep. Riley?
And I would say that it's not pretty much, it's incomplete, I would say. So it's hard to say what's the end goal here.
Okay. Tell me more about, what do you mean by, because the site itself is, yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, great. All right, so we do have some crowd scores in now. Okay. I thought y'all left me hanging for real, though. Thought y'all left me hanging, crowd. Okay, the crowd is right in line with most of us at a 4.29. So that gives us a combined total score of 4.66 on the EMS website. That makes us a good redemption round challenge. And Aditya, like you said, this seems like it's a work in progress. And so this would be a good opportunity to just... try that again. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next website, and this one is Aditya. This is going to be you walking through it. So let's go ahead. We'll pull these scores. We'll get 5 minutes on the clock, and whenever you're ready.
Okay, so I have it opened right here in front of me. Mm-hmm. The first thing I see is the big white fonts, and
hang on. I got the wrong site up. Go ahead. I'm sorry, but I got the wrong URL up on the screen for anybody that's watching. I'm going to fix that right now, though. Okay.
Yeah, so I was talking about the fonts, and now this is a bit subjective. Personally, I love it. I like seeing big, large fonts like this. It's in my face, and it's telling me what's going on. Do remember that I'm watching everything on a very big screen. So looks like the fonts here are scaling. Everything is scaling. They've probably used VW or something. So it looks very big. And I think it's a bit too big, but it's fine. As I scroll down, I see a lot of white space. Like I'm a designer, and I've heard from clients before that they've asked me to reduce white space, but here I would actually say that some of this white space should be reduced. There's there's quite a lot of it. Scrolling further down, I love the 4-column grid here that highlights these different services I think they're providing. Useful pages, they're calling it. Great. Nice videos in there, looks great. And I love the final CTA that says start today, like that's screaming at me to click at it. So I would, like, no matter what, I would definitely click on it. And I think that's very important, that the CTA should prompt someone to click. So I love the fonts, I love the CTA, I love these images, I love the videos. I just disagree with so much white space. It looks empty. It almost looks kind of incomplete. One of these, the second section, for example, looks a bit incomplete.
Nice.
What do you guys think?
Okay. Yeah, great. Thanks, Riley. What do you got?
Yes, definitely enjoy the first impression of the site. I feel like it's very appropriate for just the emotion that's being presented, where it's kind of like intensity, very quick-paced cut shots from the video. Since there's not a whole other elements on this page, I feel like typography is a driving element. And I think the font does well with this kind of typeface where everything is uppercase and kind of big. The one thing that I always like to be careful with is how many words are being used in a line, because with typefaces like this and when everything's uppercase, things start to become unreadable when there's like a long line of text, to where, you know, the discover the most unique fitness experience is great, but sometimes it eventually just gets lost because you kind of just have visually like just a long rectangle, to where either reducing the amount of words being used or stacking them to a bit more to where they can be easier perceived. I think there's some ways to kind of bring that up. Other things too, I think just little things to tweak. Since these are very wide and large headings, I think just increasing like the line space a bit more will create a bit more breathing room to interpret the words being used. I'm looking at also like the train with us heading can kind of just be increased a bit. I think outline fonts are great.
we're gonna leave a few of these things for Colleen to talk about here, Riley.
Go for it.
Sorry, man. That's all great feedback.
No.
I just want to make sure we all get a little bit of time to chime in here. So, Colleen, you're up.
No worries. I love this site. I love the attitude. I love it from the very moment of training for the everyday athlete. One of the things that I think is really kind of interesting is that this is a site that has a lot of motion, good video. So this is a place where you are going to go and you are going to work out and be active. And we are not necessarily seeing pictures of folks that are size 2 or overly muscular or that are in the prime of their life. So, you know, we see people moving, but we don't necessarily, you know, could be basically anybody working out. I like the color. There was one area that I was a little bit confused by. So if you scroll down to like the useful pages section, there's this personal training piece. And so right now you see how it's highlighted blue on your screen, Reimar, but as I've been playing and adjusting the responsiveness, that changes from black and white to blue. So I don't know if that's supposed to be a certain call out or if that's potentially a bug of some sort with hovers and such. But that had me a bit confused because the other items don't have a hover.
Well, and the hover is rough on these. The transition is rough. I agree with a lot of what you all have said. This site kind of screams energy, so I'll give it that right from the bat. But I like to see when you say something like this, like what's the most important part of this? Is it training? Is it the everyday athlete? Like what is the most important part of that? And so I could see everyday athlete being highlighted with training in another way and a little bit of just something to give me like a little bit of visual breakup there. Also, I see like right here, this is great. What it says with us is in black. But when I go to this page here, I lose that. And when I scroll down, there's like a lot of white space here, and you see that this font is white and it gets lost. And so I don't know, you see it's happening everywhere here. And so I'm just not sure if that's like that's obviously some kind of mix up there, but yeah. Okay, so there's a lot to look at there. We've given the site its rounds. That's more than 5 minutes there. So we'll leave this up to the judges and up to the crowd. So the crowd scorecard is open. We're going to put 45 seconds back on the clock. And audience, you can feel free to cast your votes now for this website here. Did we share that in the comments? Did we share that website? Okay, the forms is in there. The scorecard is up. Let's get some scores up here. Remember, design is the look and aesthetics of the site. The story is the content and the copy. Flair is how does the site make you feel? Is it emotional? Does it pull you in? Do you want to like dig deeper on the site? And then usability is how easy it is to navigate the site, get around, etc. Okay, here we go. Scores are in. Let's see. Crowd scores are coming in. So we'll go through like usual. We'll go from the bottom up, and we've got a trend developing. Colleen is dropping elbows, y'all. So Colleen's got a 5.75 to start us out on the bottom of the score. Goes up again. Riley, man, this is the same thing. 25.25. So it's a quarter of a point difference between Riley and Colleen. And then Aditya and I are tied at 6.25. So that's interesting how the trend is rolling out there, giving us a judge's average of 6.06. Let's see how the crowd thinks. The crowd sees it as a 5.68. So it's kind of right between, actually below all of us. So the low score today was the crowd. Okay, that gives us a combined total score of a 5.99 for the primal.co.uk experience. It's a respectable little score there. We're happy to see that back as a redemption round if you're interested. Okay, so let's pop that one down. Next one is this Alex Beige site. So let's get that in the chat so y'all can follow along here. Okay, let's get the URL changed up on the screen here. We'll get 5 minutes on the clock. You ready for it, Riley?
Let's do this. I'm ready.
Send it.
All right. Okay, here we go. From the looks of it, it looks like for now, this is just going to be a one-pager type of experience. When I look at this type of portfolio experience, I try to pay attention to where my attention's being drawn to, as well as like the narrative being thrown. And so we have our intro area, which is great, kind of just a personal introduction and a quick hint of what Alex is focusing on. In this example, it's websites of your virtual dreams, which I think is a nice personality inclusion there that I think can elevate kind of just what type of person this is. So I appreciate that. As I scroll down, we kind of see some, looks like testimonials, which is great. That social proof being seen almost at the top of the site is always great to see from just prospects. Going into the process is pretty straightforward. I'm enjoying kind of this consistent element of like 3D shapes and 2D shapes. I think that is a cool type of unique factor. And I also, one thing I've noticed on this project is the personality and humor that I really appreciate being leaned into, as far as kind of like, this is a one person team. And so I like how they lean into that, where if you scroll down to the team section, all the team members are the same person. And I like that. It's fun. I think clients appreciate that when there's just humor and just these things are played with. I think can go far away.
I agree. That's the thing that struck out to me about this site was the personality, and I kind of like exactly what you said. This process showing me like the shape evolving from just a thought to adding a little bit of structure, then designing a little bit, and then, you know, finishing and publishing it. So it's telling me the story visually as well as with the words, which I always appreciate. And then these little embellishments, although when I did load this site before, and maybe it was just an old load or something, this drag element didn't work. And I was like, oh, what's going on here? I just didn't see anything in the background. And so sometimes you risk these cool sites not really working. And I was like, what am I supposed to drag? Are there more cards that pop over? Or otherwise, I think this is just super simple. I like these sites that kind of just give you a taste. You know, there's not a lot here, but it itself shows you a lot of versatility, and I like that. And so what say you, Colleen?
I like it as well. And I think this, you know, speaks to a certain type of customer. If you are looking to work with sort of one-on-one with someone and someone who's got a sense of humor, that this basically lets you know that that's going to be a good fit. I do wish there was a little bit more interactivity. There's a few spots where I got confused. So like the section that you should have right in front with those underlines, I expected those to be hyperlinks. They're not. And then also the team, there is so much personality. If those were hover effects, I mean, that could be just, you know, changing the smile or something, which I think would kind of go a ways. And maybe those triangles have some level of interactivity. But overall, I really like it.
Yeah, great thoughts. Aditya, what are you thinking here?
Yeah, I would like to add that from a design perspective, when I go to a site, whenever I see things that I don't usually see on every other site, I'm impressed. And here I see a lot of that. Like when someone goes out of their way to do something different, it's something you should always recognize and appreciate. So I see the use of 3D elements here. I see that in that third section with the grid, you could have put a, you know, basic line icons, but it's used these 3D elements there. And I also love how it's taken, you know, great pictures with that employee of the month thing. I see this person as someone who can be a professional and also be funny and overall a great person to work with. So I'm sold. Overall, yeah, I think this one's ready to get a very good score compared to the last two.
Yeah. Well, and this is a good contrast to show that you can do a lot with a little, you know, that you don't have to flood your site with everything. A lot of people want to just dump everything that they've ever done. And it's like, and sometimes, you know, that little bit of, you know, restraint can do a lot to help the design. I did want to read a couple of thoughts from the crowd coming in here. Let's see. Seems on point. It needs to breathe a little bit. I bet he used spline. I could see a little bit more room here. I wouldn't mind actually a little bit. If a little bit of room to breathe here would not be a bad idea. I think opening these up just a touch, a little bit more air around the cards. Sure, that's all great feedback. Yeah, okay, that seems good. Let's open up the scorecard to the crowd, and let's get 45 seconds on the clock for the judges. It's time to cast your votes. So we're looking for design again. Let's see. The story is the content. How will we score this here? This one I think is going to be good because I liked that. And then this was okay. Okay. I feel good about that. You got 18 seconds, audience, to cast your votes. Judges, any final little thoughts here?
I'm glad this was submitted.
Yeah.
It's been delightful.
Yeah, it's fun to see.
I'm curious to see this person's I was going to say, it'd be curious to see this person's portfolio grow with time.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so we've got some crowd scores in. We've got our scores in. And as usual, we start at the bottom end and work our way up. And this time we've got Riley at the bottom of the pack with a 6.5. And then we move up from there to my score, which is a 7.25. And then we've got Aditya, who is consistently tying with the top scorer here at 7.5, and Colleen. All right. So that gives us a judge's average combined score of 7.19, which is pretty close to the crowd here. The crowd is right in line at a 7.31. So that gives us a combined total score of 7.21 for Alex Beige, which is that's a great score, Alex. I mean, you be coming through strong over here on the critique scoring, you know. I like that. Yeah, good work. All right, who's got the next website? Colleen, I think this one's you, right?
Yes, I'm up next. So with Car
Okay.
Transport Soldier.
All right, so let me clear this here, and we'll get 5 minutes on the clock, and whenever you're ready.
Okay. So from the start, I am a little confused. The company name is Soldier Car Transport, and the headline here is Heavy Duty Vehicle Shipping. And so I see a picture of a semi, but as I scroll down further on the page, it seems to be more car centric. So I'm not sure if we are heavy duty or, you know, who's the target audience here. I wish that there was a little bit more in terms of actual photography instead of kind of basically what kind of seems to be stock pieces, and they don't necessarily scroll in very well. So that looking to transport, that kind of comes across on the page depending upon how you scroll. So you totally missed it just now as you scrolled through. And so if you have trouble with animations, you know, maybe by using stock photography, or not necessarily stock photography, but actual photography, that could be a way to get around that. People are concerned about the quality, you know, what's going to happen with their car and transport. And I don't feel like that message that we're going to take care is being conveyed here. They've got content related to the process, sort of their services, but some of the stuff is just is buried in terms of animations. I mean, I think there's a lot to start from, but I think that there's a lot more that could be done. I do like the fact that they've got quotes in here, and quotes in both, and also kind of some social proof.
Yeah.
And that bit about the founder is buried. So why not have that on the front page?
Yeah, I'm kind of okay with it being on the about page. I do agree that I feel a little like soldier is the big word here, and I don't know if it's this like a military play. Is he a former military? Is it targeted to moving military families, you know, from one place to another? So I don't know if that's part of the brand. And so like, if that is the case, then I would like to see that brought through. So I don't know what soldier means. And then I don't see that soldier kind of like brought out through the brand. And I just see kind of these yellows and these icons. And, you know, maybe I don't have a problem with the truck because it seems like maybe the cars get transported in the truck. But I agree with what you're saying, Colleen, that this doesn't immediately like if I saw cars loaded, or like a car getting loaded onto a truck or some kind of transporter vehicle with cars on it, that would kind of help sell a little bit. And then I also think we have interactions for just kind of interaction's sake here. I think interactions should add functionality to the message as opposed to just being there. And I don't know, some of this feels like WordPress template-y to me, but I don't know that it's clear. It's all here. You know, it's not, and the audience here may be a very simple audience, right? And maybe not dealing with a very, you know, like user savvy or sophisticated tech audience. So I don't know. I think some of the simplicity may be on purpose and whatnot. Go ahead, Colleen,
I should maybe caveat part of my concept or comments part. I live in a place where snowbirds come, and so I'm used to seeing these car transport vehicles all the time at certain points of year, and it is those vehicles have a special look to them and how they do business. And so those things that I'm used to seeing in my local area were not at all reflected here. And so that's
Riley,
part of where I feel like it's missing the story.
What say you here?
When I look at the sections, I appreciate how they're at least capturing like the important bits of information of when someone is probably going to the site. The call to actions are there as far as getting a quote. The kind of explanation of their process is there. So I really appreciate that. And I think as far as like the narrative of someone going to the site, I think that's very streamlined and important. I do wish there was just a more consistent direction. I feel like with each section, a new kind of branded experience is introduced, and I'm not sure which type of vibe they're trying to represent, because there's kind of a professional vibe, there's also a more fun and contemporary vibe, and then a more kind of just straightforward no frills vibe. And I would like one to kind of drive the rest of the experience of the site. I think that would elevate what's being represented.
Aditya?
And I want to add one point to what Riley said, that a website can be headed in two directions. One is design-oriented, or the other is content-oriented. And this one seems to be somewhere in the middle. Like, I wouldn't say it's like the design is 10 out of 10. I also wouldn't say that it's very, I don't understand everything as I scroll down. Like Riley pointed out, it's a different experience, different branding experience in pretty much every section. And those great pictures of those trucks that I see in the last section in the testimonials, I would have liked to see those more often in the beginning. Overall, the design could be a lot better. The experience could be a lot better. The storytelling could be a lot better, I think.
Yeah, and Penny's got a good point here. It seems a bit focused on cool animations for their own sake, not exactly to move the story forward. Carrie's saying the 2 columns on the quote form is a big usability issue. Yeah, for sure. Rock and Roll CEO, we debated about that so long, about whether we do responsiveness or not on the show. And just due to time constraints, it was hard for us to be able to like pull up a proper phone and be able to do a responsive, other than just doing a little something like this, which in my mind is not always a fair representation. But it does look like we've got a little bit of that and some problems. And so, yeah, it just adds extra time to the review process that, we just weren't sure how to really fit in properly. But yeah, this is why you all get to cast a vote. What's that?
That section with transport your vehicle in 6 easy steps, that's not centered on a big screen, it's left aligned.
Yeah.
It's kind of, a breaking user experience.
Yeah. Okay. This is the perfect redemption round candidate right here, because all the content is here, and this with a little bit of loving could be, really nice. I think this is literally just a nice little session of refinement away from being a really high quality site. So let's get 45 seconds on the clock. Crowd scores are, let me make sure real quick, open and available. Judges, we're looking for design. Let's see what we give this one. Okay. Story, what does the message of this white website say? Let's see. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Flair is the emotional connection, any wow factor, interactions, things that kind of catch your eye and make you want to spend some more time on the website. And then the usability is how easy is it to get around and navigate the website. All right, 5 seconds. Crowd, now's your chance to cast your votes. We've got all the audience scores in. Let's see. The judges scores are in. And who's our bottom score? Okay, Colleen she reclaimed the mantle of the lowest score. She didn't like Riley stepping in on her territory. She said, I'm taking this back at a 4.25. Aditya and I again are tied. Aditya, you gotta get some, quick copy of me, man. Quick. I'm kidding. Aditya and myself came in at 4.75. Riley's just a bit above that at a 5.0. And that gives us a combined judges average of 4.69. So not bad there. The crowd comes in right above that. So the crowd actually sees it a little nicer than we did. So I like that. Crowd 511 and a combined total score of 4.77. Again, I think this could easily be a 7-8 website. Like some real nice, beautiful pictures here, a little bit of refinement to the illustrations and kind of the unity of this. Even as simple as normalizing the sizes of these shapes, just, I don't know. There's a little bit of just here and there's that could be done, but be cool to see that one as a redemption round candidate. All right. So let's pull that back.
Just a little bit of pixel dust.
That's right. That is right. Okay, so we're dropping this one. Let's see, Plexus Business. And Colleen, this is you again, correct?
Yes, it is. It is.
All right.
So
Whenever you're ready.
off the top, I hopefully am not their audience. I don't know what it is that they do. I'm seeing very beautiful pictures. There's text, but I hope that the audience that they're targeting that they get it, because I don't know what they do, what they sell, or why I should care. Kind of moving down on design, they've got different sections. So there are polls to go down. So the next section is nice, has a little bit of animation, both on the left and on the right. I do think it could use with a little bit more white space, at least the way that I have it on my screen, because the red circular thing is buttressing the text. So that just may be kind of a responsiveness challenge. I'm not sure with these accordion, what's going on here. Why should I click? Again, I think this is all because I don't understand what they do. I need to be doing a lot of reading. And even when I'm reading, the text just seems very marketing speak, jargon speak, I don't know. So I'm kind of lost. But I do think as I'm scrolling down, there's definitely, beautiful pictures, beautiful design. I'm just not sure why.
Every time I see this image, I'm like, Webflow created items. This person said, create me some CMS items. And this is how we got here. And so that's like a instant, like, oh, this is a work in progress site. Okay. And so, yeah, I tend to agree with you, Colleen, on that. And then there's some inconsistencies here where like the lines of these illustrations are not the same. So, these are just like plucked from places. I think some of this stuff like is hard to read. It's, in my mind, this is spinning a little too fast. And so there's not a real cohesive unity here from a design standpoint in my mind. And this could be just somebody experimenting, right? Now that I see that the CMS content is just kind of CMS content, maybe they're just trying to build, I don't know. There seems to be some unfinished nature of the site here. The images are compelling in certain places, but they don't really explain, Colleen, to your point, what's happening here. Aditya, what do you see?
I would start with the negatives here first and then go to the positives. The negatives is like in the very first section when I see those slider dots. There's so many modern sliders these days, and you can do a lot with them. You can customize those dots, and you can give them a little bit more of a modern feel. Because the way they've used the typography, the images, they all look so modern. So the slider looks kind of outdated, but nice job with the arrows at least. If you go down, I see some issues with, if you go to the blog section, I feel like that button could use some more spacing around it. It's too close to the text. And it is also not aligned to the left along with the rest of the text. But, and also the stock icons there. So I think that's all I would say for the negatives. Like, I'm like kind of excited to go to the positives. I love the way they've used the typography. Like, it's a very basic font. It's not Serif, I think. It's a very common font. It's not one of those premium ones, but it does give me a premium feeling entirely because of the way they've used it. The sizes, the thickness of the fonts and everything. That looks great. I think that gives the site a modern look.
Yeah.
And overall, yeah, nice images, good design.
Yeah, and I just saw these little cards. These little cards are nice with the graphic here. I don't mind these at all. Riley, what are you thinking as you look through this?
Yes, definitely agree with what's been said. I'll go with some concerns. I feel like when the hero image on the homepage or the hero space is this slider, it worries me because they're hiding important content. And I think if a slider is going to be used as a hero, it needs to be really intentional, and hopefully no one just scrolls past the slider, because there seems to be some important stuff on the other slides. So either combining it into one slide, or maybe splitting it up across the page. I think that can kind of be a stronger win when it comes to engagement and getting that story across. I also wish our work is to make your work easier section at the bottom of the page. I wish that was toward
which page?
At the top of the page more. It's on the homepage above the form at the bottom. This is such a great section that I feel like just gives more clarity to kind of what this business is about. And I don't think this should be one of the last things that should be experienced. I feel like this should be closer to the mission, above the blog. I think would be a better place for this area to be kind of seen and interacted with.
Well, and there's some of these sections are much nicer than others. Like, where was I just at? Let me get back to that. Was it the industries page, or where was I? Hang on, let me keep going back before I came to this home page right here. Yeah, this what we do page, you know, has some really nice elements right here. It's kind of bold. It gives me I haven't read this. This seems like, okay, I got to read a lot. I don't know. There's some goodness here, and there's some stuff that I'm just like, it's a little suspect. And so again, I'm wondering, is this a learning curve? Is somebody just putting together a site here? Is this an experiment in Webflow? I don't like when you build a Webflow site that gives me the feel of like a WordPress template. You know, the point of Webflow in my mind is that you can build anything you want. And so to kind of come out sometimes with themes that feel like they're pulled off the shelf, I'm like, ooh, you could push this further. So I think this is going to be a good redemption round candidate. Let's go ahead and get 45 seconds on the clock, judges. The audience, the scorecard is open. Go ahead and cast your votes for this. Okay, remember, we're looking for design. This is the overall aesthetic. Story is the message and the copy. Flair is the site. Emotion, interactions, etc. And then usability is how easy is it to navigate and how easy is it to kind of explore the site. Yeah, okay. Scores are coming in hot. Audience, your scorecard is open. So we'll give it another couple seconds for those to come in. And as usual, oof, I'm the one, guys. This time I'm the low. Oof, considerably lower. Okay, I came in at 3.5. I really think this site, it needs some love. It needs some cohesion. It needs a clearer message. It needs some consistency. There's a lot here. Even the link structure is a little worrying. So next from there, we go to Aditya, 4.5, Colleen, a 4.75, and Riley at a 5.0. Okay, so that gives us the judges' average of 4.44, and the crowd was more in line with me, I think, on this one. Kind of right in the middle, I guess, 3.91. So right between, yeah. This is tough. This would be good to see come back with some of these refinements. Plexus, I think there's a lot of good opportunity here for you to like, just take some cues from. I don't know. Like, I don't know how to help Riley. What's the best way when you're looking at something like this to find a little bit of refinement, to find a little bit of unity? Because like all the components are here and the content's here. So how would you go about approaching, taking the next step on a site like this?
Some things I think can always help, but it's a painful process, is just reducing the excess and really questioning, does this need to be here? If so, why? If why, how can it be elevated and on point when it comes to how I want people to experience this? I think taking things away can really simplify just the attention, but also strengthens the story being told. And so sometimes scaling back the elements being represented can help when it comes to all of these things that are being juggled throughout the page.
Yeah. And we got some good thoughts from the crowd here on this one too, that I'll acknowledge. Penny's saying they don't have seem to have a specific target audience, and so sometimes when you're not talking directly to someone, so that'd be a good point, is like when you're building a website, imagine you're talking specifically to one person, the person who's reading that site. And that kind of helps you narrow that story. So Penny, that's a good point there. Hero time. I feel like that wheel spinning words should spin counterclockwise to allow words to be read easier. Sure, counterclockwise, or even just a little bit slower, so that kind of just, like, I don't like things spinning that fast when people are supposed to read it, especially the text is so small and dense. And so just slowing that down a little bit. Andy, that's a good point. Doesn't say how the product benefits me as a potential customer. So again, that's going to that message. It doesn't really deliver that value proposition. And Robert's, agreeing with some of the inconsistency stuff. Let's see. Looks like several people had access to the designer tool at different times and all spoke a different language. And that's a good way to say that. So yeah, there's definitely some pros and some cons here. So Plexus, we'd love to see this back as a redemption round. And our final site for the day is lazycats.ro. And who's walking us through this one?
I think I am.
Riley. Okay, let me get 5 minutes on the clock. And whenever you're ready.
Cool. All right, another portfolio site. These are always fun. There's a lot of stuff going on here that I really appreciate, and also that I wish was just tightened up a bit. I think one thing, this kind of fun, quirky experience is great. I think that was nailed down with kind of how elements are designed. There's a combination of kind of like retro, but modern, like button styling. I think all this is fun and is great. I think with that said, there's so many elements on here that I think they could be just organized a bit tighter, especially when we get to the area where it's kind of representing the types of services are involved. There's not really a sense of organization that I can grasp to. They kind of just seem to be thrown on the page, and there's like different alignments to where even if, the web design and branding, all those services were grouped together in like a 4-column or even more of a straight 2-column, would just be a bit straighter perceived, and it won't seem kind of all over the place. And just kind of be cognizant of kind of how text is being paired to images in proximity to other images, to where even on this service section, there's a lot going on like the left side, and it just seems a bit out of balance when it comes to just this content being presented. Same thing with other areas. I just think if things were tightened up organizationally, so even just kind of the review section, this could be a work in progress, to where instead of just one review here and there, it might be more of like a 2-column layout, where there's 4 reviews and they're just kind of stacked. I think a little bit like that can just help, because there's a lot of good elements here, but the more elements being introduced, I think there just needs to be more attention to the balance and how that relates to the content and also just the flow of the site.
This little element
other things
on the bottom right footer, I think exposes it to me a little bit. This looks like a flow base element. So I wonder if this started as a clonable from the flow base site, or elements from a flow base template. Yeah. And then just real quick, I think these animations are like overwhelming, all just happening at once. I couldn't tell what was triggering them. These look like Lottie files. This would be great on hover, right? If I hovered and then the movement started, that'd be amazing. I don't necessarily have a problem with them kind of being skewed like this, but I think maybe a little, take advantage of the full space here, and yeah, give me some purpose to where and when these interactions are happening, or that would make the site more engaging a little bit, I think. Aditya, what are you seeing here?
The first thing I really want to appreciate is the background with that grain texture and that subtle color. I like it. I love looking at it. It's so easy on my eyes. And those 3 little badges on the hero section, Shopify partner, Google, Webflow official partner. I think they could be bigger because that's something you really got to be proud of. And then the point where I felt slightly disappointed and could, the section that could be a bit better was the works section, Made with Love by Lazy Cats. That could be so much better. It's just, blurry, big images of your work that doesn't really tell me anything. I haven't tried clicking it. Let me see. And one of those is actually a video. The rest are images. So a little disappointed with that one, but overall, from a design point of view, I would say this was pretty decent. There's quite some work that went into it. So, and yeah, those buttons works are not clickable. I think no, they're not.
Colleen, what say you?
I agree with a number of the comments that were here. I struggled a little bit with at times with navigation. So there's on the home page, there are things that are underlined, but they're not necessarily clickable. The services page, there's a drop down in that nav, but nothing seems to really happen. So I would just say, clean up a little bit of that detail. I think places adding some spacing to help breathe. I do feel a bit off kilter at times. And I do think there's an interesting contrast between this being a company called Lazy Cats and yet all the activity. So, maybe there's some additional story that could be there of we're seeing a cat wake up and it's going, I'm just thinking about that section on the homepage where it talks about, web design, graphic services and such. Maybe you've got a cat that's waking up and then walking you through somehow these various services.
Yeah, it's funny because at some level I see this site and I see so much character and I see so much color and I see so much personality that something about it draws me in, and then as I start to look deeper and I see who was it that said in the comments here, all the menu items bring you to the same page. So Andy in the comments here was saying that Pablo's saying they overdid the interactions on purpose. I think reminds me a little of the Finsweet site, which I wouldn't say, because the one thing is on the Finsweet site is there's some refinement and some restraint, and I don't know that I see that same restraint here. This seems to me like somebody who's very good at seeing and finding assets that are popular and available through the community and has kind of repurposed some of this. And so, I a lot of this feels like cloned elements that have been kind of pulled together in interesting ways. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but I think that leads a little bit to the kind of chaotic nature. But maybe that's intentional, and maybe that's part of the style, right? So I don't know that. Yeah, I don't know that we ding them super hard on some of that, but that's why design's subjective. So, all right,
the contact page looks nice.
What's that?
They have a 5-step form, I think, on the contact page. Yeah, that looks pretty decent. It's not
Again,
bad.
this is 100%. And these will turn. I've used this form in Clonable too. So it's kind of funny when you start seeing the different elements, and this is one of the things that makes it beautiful. But this is also what got WordPress in trouble after a certain while, was like all the sites started looking the same because everyone just starts using all the themes and everything starts kind of like pulling together. So it will be interesting as Webflow evolves and more people start coming into the industry, and you're able to just kind of compile sites so quickly. I think we'll see a lot of this. I think we will see a lot of this. So let's get 45 seconds on the clock, and judges, you're up. Audience, the scorecard is open here. Let's see. Yeah. All right. Design. We're looking for the overall aesthetic of the site. The story is the message and content of the site. The flair, again, is interactions, excitement, and emotional connection. And usability is how easy is the site to navigate and get through, etc. You got 15 seconds. Any final thoughts from the judges here?
I am just... Oh, go ahead, Colleen.
Oh. No, go for it.
I was going to say, the heading typeface, I think, is an amazing example of tying in the characteristics of the site and of the person behind this portfolio. There's so many just details as far as just letter accentuations that just describe that this person that I might work with is going to be a fun time and a friendly time. I always appreciate those types of details.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, even though overall, I'm not a huge fan of the site, but I do love the personality. And I think there's some fun character here. And like something about this is bubbly to me, you know, and Carrie Craver says the same thing there. This feels fun. Right. And so it does. It has that like something, you know, about it that's like fun. Okay, so let's go with the scores. Again, we always start at the bottom, and Colleen said we're keeping the trend alive. 4.25 from Colleen. I bumped it up a quarter notch from there at 4.5, and then Aditya again and Riley tied at that 6.0 for the website here, giving us a judge's average of 5.19. And the crowd score is 5.32, so just above our combined score, which gives us a total combined score of 5.21 for the lazycats.ro website. And yeah, that's it. That's 6 websites. We went through 6 websites today. Let's go to this view here. We'll pull this back. Let's get some closing thoughts, and then I gotta run. I gotta prep for a call here with Vlad. So I'm gonna bolt out of here pretty quickly today, y'all. Final thoughts. Let's go around the table here. Aditya, starting with you.
We're being a bit too critical today. Like I didn't see too many high scores.
I think it's funny. Somebody said that last week about, you know, are the scores going down? But I looked and we were actually like, I think what happened was that we were bringing in those professional sites before, like the top. Like we were going to look for the best of the best. Like we were literally pulling award-winning sites. And so now it's 100% crowd submitted. And I think we're getting, you know, a real taste for just average websites that are coming in. And I think that's kind of the impetus of the scores there. I think the scores were pretty fair today. Honestly, I think they were. Yeah, did we get it wrong, Riley?
I don't think so. I mean, I think there was a trend of work in progress with some of these projects, which I think kind of sets the context. Especially when you kind of take a panel of judges and we critique the site and then eventually find out it's a work in progress. I think some of that affects just our perceptions of it, to where whoever submitted these sites, like if it's your own personal site you submitted, I think there's a lot to be praised for that, because it's a courageous thing to throw even just a work in progress on the site. But I think with whatever critique was said, there's just opens up doors and doors of opportunities to take parts of a project and elevate it to that next level. So I've appreciated all the sites that were kind of looked at today, and I hope to see more.
Yeah, great. All right, Colleen.
It's been fun to see. It's been fun to see, you know, works in progress. And it's always fun. You know, a website is never done. So even when you release it and say it's done, there's always the next day or something you realize, I didn't do this, I didn't do that. So I would say just take these pieces and take them to the next level.
Yep. Great.
So great job.
That's a good thought there, and a good parting thought. Great to see everyone in the audience. I see Carrie Craver. Great to see Colleen on the panel. Yeah, we love Colleen, so we're excited to have her here. Martin was saying logo is also taken from George Bokuha. So it looks like that last site we reviewed had a lot of pulled parts. I don't like seeing that, to be honest. I like seeing the elements pulled together, but if that's true, if that logo was borrowed from someone else and there's other things that are just, you know, that's a big no-no in my book. So I hope that's not the case. If you're out there watching and you're submitting sites like that, you can get away with it for a while, but you'll get exposed, you know. It's great for learning. It's great form of flattery, but yeah, just be careful how you're assembling some of those assets. And yeah, great to see everyone today. We're going to leave it at that. Catch you on the next show. We'll see you. Let's see. We got a Twitter space hangout tomorrow. if you're not following me on Twitter at Ray Tirado, we've been doing these like informal Webflow meetups on Twitter. So at noon Eastern Standard Time, come hang out with us on Twitter. Super casual. Everybody gets involved. We invite speakers up from the audience and kind of everyone can chat. I think you can have up to 10 speakers at a time. And so come join us for that. And then every Tuesday and Thursday, we're live right here. We got the Growth Show on Tuesdays and Critique on Thursdays. Thanks all to the judges and everyone who showed up. It's been a blast. Catch y'all next time.